That's good info. Let's talk to a national cybersecurity expert, CEO of Superior Solutions. His name is Michael Gregg, and he joins us right now. And Michael, this story about Google in China continues to grow. Late last week, you had Yahoo saying we align ourselves with Google's way of thinking. Then you had Alibaba, which is a major holding of theirs in China, say that's irresponsible of you to say that. And yet today, Google continues to operate in China. They continue to censor their searches. We seem to be right where we were before all this began.
Yeah, hello, and thanks for having me. Actually, the thing is that China is going to continue to be somewhat of a toxic environment for companies to operate in. And this latest attack has really highlighted some of the dangers of companies operating there.
Will Google end up sticking to its guns in your mind and back out of China? Because in my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, China isn't changing their ways.
No, I don't think they're going to change their ways. And the latest reports on this actually from last week and over the weekend, it stated that China has said that companies there need to abide by their laws. And if Google does make the decision to pull out, this is going to be quite expensive for them.
And I've heard that Google is going to hold talks with the Chinese government about plans to offer unfiltered search results on the Chinese site. Do you think the Chinese will be receptive to these talks as Google wants to have?
I don't know. I see this again as being really a very touchy subject because it wasn't that long ago that China actually asked Google if they would also filter searches that the Chinese made on the Google.com site, not only the .cn site. So I don't see this going too far.
Michael, will others follow? I mean, you have this situation where Yahoo says we align ourselves with Google's way of thinking. If Google backs out, keep in mind, this is 380 million computer users, computer-ready users, so to speak, in China. That's already the largest concentration of computer users in the world, and it's such a bigger market. Will Yahoo say we're leaving the money on the table also?
I don't know. I would honestly think that Yahoo's going to have second thoughts about pulling out of there if Google does, because really that would put them in a strategic advantage to stay around and pick up some of that void.
And I know Google's still sort of looking into investigating what kind of theft of the intellectual property happened in this attack. Is there any insight on that and whether it will determine or have any bearing on their decision of whether to pull out or not?
I think so. And what was really scary about this particular attack is it followed in many ways the patterns of the attack that we had last year. Last year there was a major breach of many sites, and at the time it was kind of known as GhostNet. And in that particular attack, what these attackers would do is send individuals these emails. So they send you an email, and it's highly targeted. So it's really kind of a spear phishing attempt. And then the idea is to get you to open that email and click on the attachment or go to that web page, in this case, and then it actually drops the exploit on the user system. And then it appears at that point what these attackers have been able to do was siphon information off from the Google users, right, from the employees in this case. Actually, it appears they sent them back to servers initially, Rackspace and others, then back to a site in Taiwan, and from there then back to China or other places. And that's the real trouble with this, because the real trouble is determining who is the real attacker. Because with cybersecurity, it's hard sometimes to put your finger on where this information's actually gone or who was behind this. Michael. So the real issue is going to be taking and trying to determine whether or not the Chinese government was behind this or whether it was other parties.
From a cost perspective, if I back up a second, it seems pretty cut and dry. Google leaves, Yahoo is in, Microsoft is in. They take that, whatever, 30% of the search that Google now abandoned. But what costs are there potentially for Yahoo and Microsoft and anybody else that stays in, what could potentially be over and above the revenue?
Yeah, the cost is that that's really a very toxic environment to operate in, because China for many years is known really not to respect intellectual property rights. So because of this, any company operating in that venue has to work under the assumption that their intellectual property could be stolen, reused, compromised, or targeted. That's really what's happened with them.
Michael, great stuff. We'll have to keep on this and check back with you as this develops. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Gregg, national cybersecurity expert. He's the CEO, of Superior Solutions. Very dangerous.